Roll call, Ed Rankin Jr.
Here.
Tracy Hare.
Here.
And Mark Eastman's here. Going through the agenda, we're going to skip over item 3, facilities employee discussion, and move on to police schedule change.
So, almost a year ago, the police department started looking at a way for the schedule to move. Buck Sports had a static schedule. If you worked Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, you worked Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, and the only time you ever got a weekend off is if you took a vacation. That's how our schedule has been forever. And once upon a time, when we got 15 applications for every opening, that worked because there was a lot of competition for jobs. And that world no longer exists. We now don't get that many applications, and in the last 3 years we've lost 5 people who cited the schedule as the reason that they were leaving. So, as I said, they started almost a year ago, the department did, trying to come up with a schedule that would move, that wouldn't impact the budget. My goal. We want to create something that's going to move. I don't want to see a huge inflation in the budget. That isn't where we're going with this. But so they went through a number of iterations, none of which was acceptable to the group as a whole. And so several months ago, Deputy Chief Winchester and Director Gagan came and said, we got to do something because we're not coming to consensus and we're still losing people. So I did something that I don't do normally in any of this, is insert myself into the process of scheduling employees in the department. That's not my anything. I don't do that. That's up to the department heads. But the deputy chief and the director and I sat down and reviewed all the kind of schedule and came up with a hybrid, which moves. It allows every shift to have 2 weekends off a month. It works on a 10.5-hour a day schedule, 4 days 1 week, 3 days the next, and it ends up with an average of 36.75 hours a week. And the proposal that you have is that in the same way that when the fire department went from 56 hours a week to 42 hours a week, and that was a 25% reduction in time, but they received 90% of the pay that they got for the 56 hours, which was a 15% raise, shall we say, because that's what we did. And we did it because, like the police department, we were losing people and turning into a training ground for everybody. And since we made those changes to the 42-hour week and filled that, we've not had a resignation. We've not had, the department is stable and not seeing this turnaround. I identified for you in the memo what it costs us to train and outfit someone or to buy them from someplace else. And it's almost cheaper to buy them, because if we don't buy them and we train them ourselves, we're paying the tuition, we're paying their wages to go, and we're paying somebody else's wages to cover the shift they would be in if they were back in the community. So when I say that we've spent in excess of $200,000 in the last 3 years trying to keep up with this, that's a conservative estimate. It could be more if we factored in everything. But, so, what I'm proposing is that the 40-hour pay doesn't change, that the schedule is 36.75, but what that does instead of changing it to all 36.75 and changing the rate per hour to accommodate that, which would increase the rate per hour and therefore increase the overtime rate, that would raise the budget. That, in a way that if you keep the overtime rate the same, it's the same, it's their same rate now. It's just that 3.25 hours is paid, but it's paid in an open way. When we did it with the fire department, we did it by saying, your new rate per hour is this, which was just 90% of what it, incorporated was bigger by 15% than it was when they were working on a 56-hour schedule. So this isn't different in terms of someone's not working any more than it was when the fire department did it. But what the goal is to allow this schedule to move, to offer the department and its members a better work-life balance. And that's a relatively new phrase in the world of municipal government, but it's a real fact.
It has a monetary value too.
And it's what we have to do. But the other thing that it does is we're going into negotiations next year. This is a really good faith effort to front load those negotiations with what the town has done to improve that work-life balance and not penalized 3 hours for that. So if someone's gonna move far away because they got married or some other thing, but to train, which we did 3 of the ones that we lost, and then lose them because they can go someplace where the schedule rotates, is,
I just have a question. I think you explained it really well, but I was wondering, does this cut down like patrol hours in? It does.
It gives us better coverage, 7 days.
Oh, thanks.
It gives us better coverage 7 days a week, and it also allows us to have a supervisor. Sergeant Moody essentially would be working a 4 to 2. Sergeant Harlan would be working at 10 in the morning till 8 in the evening. We currently don't have a supervisor working weekends. And I don't know if we've ever had it. This will allow a supervisor 7 days a week and 4 different shifts. There'll be a day shift, a mid shift, an evening shift, and an overnight shift. So essentially, if this schedule works and is approved, it actually increases our coverage.
That's huge. I
I
didn't
mean-
know that.
And I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it also cuts back on potential overtime, because if somebody in that rotation either misses shifts, is on vacation, or calls out sick, there's an overlap everywhere. So,
Yeah.
it gives us better coverage.
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead, Paul.
Just as a note, also on the county budget committee, and the county is looking to hire, I put this out here for general information, I'll let you connect the dots. The county is looking to hire 2 new deputies. I'm looking at the budget right now, and that would be at about $70,000 for a starting salary. The county is also looking to put into a reserve account funds to be able to buy out when they need to, buy people out when they need to, because they want to make sure that they fill their roles. And they are also looking to put in a reserve account to continue to purchase new vehicles every year. I believe the reserve account is going to have $250,000 in it. I just want to put out there what the market is
So
in terms
in our
of.
neighborhood, there's some pretty
Yes.
competitive spots. Yeah.
we were very fortunate in our recent hires, we attracted 2 blue pins. That, it's huge. But they knew when they accepted the job that the department was working on a schedule that would allow it to rotate.
I'm glad you said that, because I remember that discussion, like a year ago, that you were trying to change the schedule for the weekend worker, because they were stuck every weekend.
More than that, it just was, the schedule, it doesn't mean someone's on days, then they're on nights, then it means the schedule moves 1 day a week. You're in your slot, but it moves 1 day a week. So if you're used to that, people don't mind they just mind that they never get a weekend off unless they take vacation.
Sure.
Yeah.
And like I said, the goal was to do this without impact to the budget. And a number of the other options had significant budget impacts when I tried to move it around enough so that the hours worked that way. It didn't, it cost us more money. So that's why the proposal is what it is. I'm hoping that the committee will recommend that the council, there's no budget impact in this, and generally speaking, things with a union contract, if there's no budget impact, I don't have to bring them, but this is a scheduling change, and it requires the council to approve me to sign an agreement to change the schedule. And so if the council, this committee proposes that it move forward on the agenda tonight under this committee's report, I would just ask for approval to sign the MOU.
Make a motion to put it on the agenda for council.
Well, is
Motion to
there-
recommend.
To recommend, you just said that, didn't you?
Yes, I
Yeah,
did.
yeah. A motion, what she said. I make that motion.
I don't see a problem, and it doesn't change the budget, it's gonna make life better for the whole department.
We'd rather retain employees than
Yeah.
rich.
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second, anything else? All those in favor? Motion passes. Item 5,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor?